Dream hopping, Scottish hamster, talking cats, an obsessive stalker, and massive rewards. This is the 1.4 update. So this update has a lot in store for us, and it really surprised me at how good it was. I know I've said this for every Wuwa update, but I'm being completely honest here, okay? Anyways, I don't think I need to explain this game anymore at this point. Almost all of my videos are about Wuthering Waves. So shall we slumber and start this dream adventure? But before we actually get into the event, we have to eavesdrop on these guys who are mad about a package that hadn't been delivered by a company called Lolo Logistics. And they also mentioned Drake too. I don't know why I mentioned that. But the guy confronts one of the workers, who is the Scottish hamster I talked about earlier, Lumi, who skillfully calmed down the situation with the lost package guy. We talked to her for a few moments and then set off to the Somnor door to investigate, and then boom, train comes popping straight out of the door. Astral Express, is that you? Then some tacit discourse appear, which I promptly beat up. But after we talk to this totally normal cat, who doesn't help us at all, we enter this mysterious portal inside the train. In a way, we get transported to some random place with this woman welcoming us back. But first of all, who are you? Who am I? And most importantly, why do you know me? Anyway, we get transported to a different Somnoir where we find Lumi trying to track the package that was lost as well as her friend/employee. We follow her for a while, and after losing track of her, we switch to her perspective where she goes full on Sonic mode as she runs away from the tacit Discord. Then she fights some more enemies and find this weird exact thingy. And then a random boss appears, which while we were fighting, the rover comes in to help, and this part of the event is so fun, having both characters on field and having this cool animation as they both use their ults. Mwah. Perfect. Anyway, we defeat the beast, and then Lumi finds her teammate, Tang Tang. Did I say it right? I don't know anymore. Who was just looking out for Lumi and trying to make her job easier. Then we get out of the Somnor and into another Somnor, I think. I don't know anymore because Lumi says she had a dream where we were in it, but she's here. So this is a Somnor, but isn't? I don't know anymore. My brain is just fried. So we approach the cat, who is actually able to talk, but only for a few minutes though. But with that done, we move on over to Jeje's dream. Okay, so I'm not gonna go full in detail with these ones as it'll take way too much time, so I'll quickly speedrun through them. So JJ's dream starts with this awful money-hungry manager that forces her to make copies of her previously successful illustrations and disapproves of her new ideas. So she takes a walk to clear her mind and find inspirations. But after presenting her new illustration, her manager gets mad at her. I'm gonna beat you up. Don't you dare talk to my JJ like that. And so she makes copies of her previous paintings and then makes more and more and more. And you get the point. But while stuck in her nightmare, the rover comes in and saves her. Now on to Encore. Compared to the previous two, this is extremely upbeat and adorable. There's not much to talk about here, as it's just a simple adventure story of Encore finding her companions and fighting a big bad man. But after this, some lore gets dropped. Right after we leave Encore's dream, we find our way into somewhere different, where the gatekeeper of Somnoir and a woman had a conversation about the woman seeing her grandmother's dream and somehow finding her way into the Somnoir. We then talk to the gatekeeper, who explains to us how the Somnoir is used for fighting against the lament, and for that reason, the deemed useless dreams are erased as well as the memories of the dreamers. And since he feels pity for those dreams that get erased, he tries to expand the Somnoir to the size of Solaris, which leads to it ripping into reality and trapping people from the real world into dreams. If I'm being honest, I wouldn't mind my dreams being erased. I have had too many embarrassing dreams. I'd rather not remember them. And just like that, we found the main villain. Anyway, now it's time for my girl Yin Lin. So for her dream, it mainly revolves around her fear of messing up missions and being neglected and taken as a nobody. We also meet Mr. Dollmaker again, who I hate. Really didn't want to see him again. But we finish her dream and move on to Chang Li. In her dream, we're placed in the past where Chang Li solved a mystery about a missing boy whose so-called parents that reported him missing were actually the Fraxidists who killed the boy's family as well as him and acted like them. Which is really dark if you actually think about it. Ugh. But once we catch up to Chang Li, we find out that she's completely conscious of the situation as she somehow figured out it was a dream. This woman is way too OP, man, I swear. Anyway, we fight Scar for some reason and get done with her dream. But as we get back on the train, we find out that the cat is finally able to speak normally now since it got its powers back. And so, last but not least, the crazed stalker herself, Camellya, who just like Chang Li finds out immediately that it's a dream. I have no words, these two are too crazy. Anyway, in her dream, she acts as the usual crazed and obsessive weirdo that she is and tries to catch a fake version of Rover, which leads her to her fighting it, and on finding out how weak the fake Rover was, she gets overwhelmed and starts overclocking. So before she overclocks, we had to save her, and it definitely didn't take me 3 tries to save her. I swear I am not this bad at this game. But I calm her down with my sword, and she snapped out of her overclock state. Now that we have the Avengers put together, we can finally fight the big bad cat. So the cat spawns a bunch of bosses which we of course defeated, and so we move in for the final attack. And so that concludes our journey through the Somme Noir, kind of, because there's still a bunch of little minigames to earn rewards as well as this cool weapon. But moving aside from that, we talk to our friends and say our goodbyes as they won't remember this once they wake up. But then I realized I made a terrible mistake because I forgot to talk to Camellya and I had already left the area, so she was gone. Yeah. I'm kinda dumb. And talking about Camellya, how about we start her quest? Oh boy, this is gonna be a questionable one. So we start off her quest when we enter the greenhouse where she immediately makes me uncomfortable by talking about plants. How in the world do you make a conversation about plants this weird? Anyway, we talk for a bit and then we get called for a mission. So I meet up with Beatrice, who tells us about the mission, where basically there's this prison thingy to keep some corrupted stellar matrices and one of them escaped and we had to track it down. So we set off to speak to this woman who had looked into the stellar matrix, and she fills us in about how she found this Lady Flora person who had overclocked in the past and had no records of her data. But as you've probably already figured out, it's pretty obvious who Lady Flora is. And with the fact that Lady Flora was extremely close with the leader of the Black Shores, aka the Rover, yeah, it's pretty clear who she is. Anyway, on trying to get information on Lady Flora, we find that Camellya had stolen the bracelet of Lady Flora and ran away with it. We swiftly catch up to her, and of course she reveals the big information about how she is Lady Flora, but she had lost her memories from the past due to a decision that she had made. So in order to get the bracelet and her help, we had to quickly play a Why can't I speak? So in order to get the bracelet and her help, we had to quickly play a game with her. And also Rover's asking the real questions here. But while fighting, my internet crashed. But then it came back, then crashed again. I hate this so much. Also during this, Camellya fills us in on how she tried to get her memories back once, but the memories overwhelmed her, which led to her overclocking, which is also the reason why she couldn't help us during the Shorekeeper quest. So we set off to find some clues and found this bloom barrier flower, which belonged to Lady Flora, and it still had some leftover frequencies from the past. After that, some enemies appear which we easily defeat, but Camellya goes a bit crazy and almost overclocks, which is terrible. This woman really needs to take care of herself, like damn. Anyway, after she settles down, we get a surprisingly sweet moment with this anime yandere Carnage reincarnate. But after we report back to Beatrice, we finally had enough frequencies, so we were able to open a portal to the Matrix to obtain its core. And the confusing thing about these matrices is that it shows the possibilities of different universes if something different were to happen. And this plays a pretty vital role in Camellya's part. So we enter the portal and immediately get separated. How surprising. But we meet a vision of Lady Flora where it seems that she is trying to make a decision on whether to erase her memories like the rover or to continue her path with her memories. But after hitting a dead end, we get back to the Black Shores and then immediately get transported back into the Matrix in an easier path. So in this version, we meet an overclocked Camellya who seems to have passed the point of remedy. This was really dark with the whole situation, lighting, voice acting, and overall presentation, to the point where it really made me feel unsettled and a little guilty in a way. But even in a state of suffering, she still managed to give a gift which really hurt to watch.
For you.
And as her roots and feathers wither away as she finally succumbs to the overclocking, we move on to the next place. Now in this alternative universe, we find a Camellya who is surprisingly soft-spoken and quite calm, which was extremely uncanny to see. So we speak to her and she is a lot different from our Camellya, but she still has that vibe about her, along with her obsession with the rover. It is also found here that she seems to quite like photography as hinted by various photos in her cave. But now on to the next portal, where we seem to find the Camellya of the present.
One day, we'll have plenty of time together. You can definitely, rigorously train me. This flower is for you. To express my...
It's the correct timeline juncture. Initiating jump now.
Yeah, I'm kinda glad that Wuwa cut that part out, or else 99% of the player base would have passed out if she said the word. So after that, we view things from Camellya's perspective, where she is found to be quite perplexed as she goes through her past, and finds out that the rover was the leader of the Black Shores, and how she was struggling with her emotions because of the rover abandoning... and how she was struggling with her emotions because of the rover abandoning her by erasing their memories, which in turn led to Camellya overclocking herself due to the rush of emotions.
Having been there so many times, I
I thought I was used to overclocking.
Are you? All that talk about power, about being free, and now you're just a loser.
Shut up!
The lovely smell of all my blood. How pathetic. Everything will be forgotten anyway. What is the point? What do you know? You will never be his equal, ever. Forget and be forgotten. So what? Rover, I traveled far and wide in our time apart. Fate led me back to you every time. Once, I was a nameless traveler, passing you right by. Once, I joined the Fraxidus, and we met in battle. I may forget you again and again, but as long as I still have my instincts, I'll always gravitate towards you. And I know you'll find me at the end of it all.
So, after beating that bird, we finally complete our mission, and decide to spend the day with Camellya. So she decides to bring us to where her story began, and just like her alternative universe, she too is quite in love with photography. So we take a few pictures as we make our way up where she gives us back the gift we gave her in our past lives. And quite surprisingly, she says something incredibly sweet and sane for once after asking us how we feel living a new life.
Same here. But you'll be fine, because you have me now. Tethys records all data on Solaris, capturing countless possibilities born and fading away. But in every possible scenario, we always find each other. All paths in the stars converge towards this single endpoint. So, the universes where we didn't meet must have all perished. Only this one survived. If the universe were a flower, then yes. This must be the perfect world for a gardener like me.
In that labyrinth of overgrowth, the paths are lined now with withered blooms. Lose my way in the frosted moon, left astray. I chase down a forgotten trail. Down the lost trail we found. Every ending leads to a new memory. Oh, through the void we learn now. Every scar marks the rebirth of me.
And just like that, I was left surprised at how deep and well written the story was, and this beautiful scene of these two sitting together and gazing at a beautiful sunset just pieced everything together so well. Also, this quest really reminded me of a game called Slay the Princess due to its parallel universe thingy, which I really enjoyed. So what are my thoughts on this update? Firstly, the event was really high quality and entertaining, especially the team up mechanic, which they implemented perfectly. But I will say that the voice acting is a bit lacking in some parts and it kinda made it cringe. But despite that, I had an incredible time playing the event as well as Camellya's companion quest, which they went crazy on, especially with the song. They did not have to go that hard on a companion quest. And also, I did not expect that deep of a story with Camellya for some reason, but yeah, that was amazing. So I'm giving this update an 8 out of 10. You thought I was gonna use some random objects to rate it again, didn't you? Dummy. Anyways, bye.